timber this barn. Our love gives me warmth and shelter. Sounds like music and it smells so sweet. Grace and beauty are the constant beat. Horses around me and I feel like I'm home. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. 'Cause I'm wild about barns. Wild about barns.
In the early 1980s, this house overlooked one of the most successful breeding operations in the U.S., home to Rebel Cause, one of the greatest stallions of all time.
Parker County, Texas, famous for its sandy loam soil, perfect for growing prize peaches, and of course, horses. In 1974, Arizona horseman Wes Mickle picked up stakes and moved his entire family and breeding operation to the county seat in Weatherford.
I liked the rolling hills. There was a lot of things I really liked about the land. There was plenty of pasture land, enough area that we could raise our own hay. The fact that we had good water here. I've stood everything from thoroughbreds to quarter horses to cutting horses. My son has always been my partner, and he's always been my stud handler.
Bred some amazing mares to some amazing stallions over the years.
But there was one horse whose reputation towered above the rest. In his heyday, it seemed the whole world beat a path to Mickle's Valley View Ranch to try their luck with the legendary quarter horse stallion, Rebel Cause.
So what made Rebel Cause such an amazing stallion?
Well, he was a champion running stallion. He was bred beautifully. He was by a thoroughbred stallion called Top Deck, and Top Deck was very popular as a sire of quarter running horses. That plus the fact that he was a strong breeder. We liked his colts. We had just seen the first colts of his the year that we bought him. We decided to make him our foundation sire.
Rebel Cause was a fabulous breeding stallion. So I remember coming to get him to breed, he knew what I was coming to the barn for. Every vein in his body would pop up and he would come lunging at me with teeth bared, wide open, and I'd hold my arm out. And he'd grab it like he was fixing to rip it out of your shoulder socket, and then he'd just massage it lightly. He knew where I was taking him.
From Rebel Rocket to Rambling Reb, the Mickle's Frisky Stallion sired hundreds of outstanding offspring, and his bloodline is still leaving its mark across the horse world today.
We had 90 individual runs out here. We had another 40 in the mare barn, and then with about 600 acres and individual 80-acre runs, we could handle another 300-400 mares. So at any one time, we'd have between 400 and 600 horses here being ready to be bred.
And who designed this area?
This is the master engineer designer. Everything on the property, including the golf course next door. He's a great designer and a great engineer.
I would say we've bred 8,000 to 10,000 head of mares maybe a
That's
day.
incredible.
When the time finally came to sell off Mickle's Valley View Ranch, they feared its legacy would be lost in the dust of new construction, but fate had a different twist in store.
And to see the barn where the stallion stayed every day and every night now to be converted into a beautiful home overwhelmed our expectations.
For years, I've drove up down the interstate out here, and it's right off the interstate. I've always seen these huge barns and wondered what they were really about. And the first chance I got to look at it, I mean, I immediately, thought we need to try to buy it.
And then as we started really learning more about the property, we learned more about the history here. Both of us like history about ranches and land, so it probably was something that connected us to the property.
And who had the idea of turning the barn into the house?
Looked at renovating some stalls in the upper barn and the mare barn up here. And at that time, we were standing outside and kept looking down below, and we kept looking down here. We took off and came down here and got to looking around, and everybody said, well, what if? And we walked in here, well, what if? And that's immediately, we abandoned doing our stall renovation up there and just went straight to this.
The way we have this entryway here, which was the breezeway of the barn and all the natural light and the fact that you could see through from one end to the other, that was my personal connection to it. Visualizing this particular space as a homestead was where I found myself, thinking about the future.
There was a diamond in the rough, I guess you would say, for us.
The quality of the Mickle's original design eased the transition from horsehold to household.
And we like things that require maybe extra thought and creativity, and I think it's important for both of us to have a house that doesn't look like anybody else's, and it's something that we can really call our own.
Tell us about your master bedroom. I understand it was Rebel Cause's old stall.
We knew this was an old breeding farm when we bought it. We did keep the rooms set up to where you can tell where the stalls were, and we have stall doors still on the exterior hanging in there, the shutters to the windows.
I think that everybody's room in the house had a stallion. They were very important stallions.
It is kind of funny, and we've kind of laughed about it with friends who've known me a long time, that I'm actually living in a stud barn, because that was literally my whole childhood growing up, because both of my parents worked day and night, at the breeding farm.
Brandy's history as a daughter of a well-known horse vet may be partly why she feels so at home in the renovated barn.
When we first moved in, we thought we would convert what we're living in now to like a party room and a guest quarters, but we've enjoyed this space so much and the view from where we're at that we just want to stay here, and so we've just made plans to add on.
With the stud barn transformed into Mike and Brandy's unique homestead, the original mare barn is now home to a growing herd of animals.
I'm going to leave the inside of the barn just like it is. The integrity of the barn. It's a 20-stall horse barn with the history it has. We don't really want to go in there and change any of that. And also the kids show some county fair goats.
There you go. Good job.
For the Muschins, the horse barn is just another extension of the stud barn they call home.
If you grow up in agriculture, no matter if it's horses or cattle, I kind of think it's just where your family has good, isolated family time.
Our evenings are spent at the barn. Kids running up down the breezeway. A lot of time up there, kids.